Hey guys, this is a little tutorial. Uh, I got a couple of friends who are playing MechWarrior Online or just starting to play, and they're kind of lost. So they've done a couple of upgrades. One of them is kind of the new skill tree system, which is really kind of dubious and kind of messed up if you're really not familiar with the game. Uh, or if you're just coming up new to games in general. So I'm going to do a quick little tutorial and then we're going to do a run through with this. Okay, anyway, what you see on the screen now right now is an Atlas. This is the biggest, baddest of the Innisphere mechs. It's a 100-ton assault. This is the RS variant, and what we're going to do is we're going to go into the mech lab itself. And this is the standard loadout for my particular RS. This is what I call the fastless because this is one of the fastest assault mechs I own. And it's not the hardest hitter, but it's pretty durable. So anyway, what you're looking at is AC-20s, which is the biggest single gun in the game. Medium lasers, short-range missiles, 6 racks, so there's a SRM-12. And you can see all the ammo, heat sinks, engine, all the good happy horse who that goes with it. Well, anyway, now, this is where the new part comes in. This is the new skill tree system. It goes by firepower, survivability, mobility, jump jets. Now, what some people haven't realized if they're new to the game is keep on scrolling. There's also mech operations, sensors, and miscellaneous. Now, those are 7 of the skill trees. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on range, and we're going to work on the weapons first because that's the most powerful thing about the mechs. Now, uh, you have 91 skill points to work with to spread out amongst the 7. And this is a historically correct mech. I already have historic skill points. I have general skill points, general experience points, historical experience points on the game. I'm a mech. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my skill points, take it all the way to 0, add this in. For new mechs that you just bought or you just won, because in MechWarrior Online you do have a chance to win new mechs. I just recently won a linebacker, which is a clan heavy, I believe. I have to start square one, so I don't have this luxury to work with, although I can use general experience that I've built up over 5 years of playing. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of look at the skill tree itself. The weapon skill tree is actually pretty expansive. It's actually the biggest one here. And as you can see, it covers a lot of ground. Now, again, there's going to be a lot of stuff in here that you won't be using, such as I have an autocannon 20 and not a Gauss rifle or an LBX. So the Gauss charge and the LBX spread are going to be pretty much useless, as well as the ultra autocannon jam chances. These are useless. So if you have a ballistic like an AC, you won't need those. But some of them, like the magazine capacity, which actually increases the amount of ammunition per ton that you carry. Case in point, the AC-20 is 7 shots per ton, and adding that will give me +1 per ton. And there are 2 magazine capacities. There's one there, and there's one way down here. So that will give me that'll give me 2 tons if I clear them out. So without further ado, let's start specking out trees. Now I have 91 available skill points to spend on this mech. So we're going to go with range. What this does is it actually increases the range of your weapon as far as, and it does it by percentile. As you can see, I've got a +1. I'm adding another +1. Adding another +1. Explosives, it is a way of increasing the chance that your missile is going to hit a critical or vital component, either destroying a weapon or a section of engine or a item within the mech, either blowing it off or killing it outright in the event of having a Intersphere XL or extra light engine, which has critical slots on both sides as well as the torso. If you blow out an Intersphere XL engine, you kill it. Unlike a clan, you have to blow up both side torsos. So we're going to go with that. Since we do have SRMs, cooldown is reduces the duration to ballistic from the time where the weapon cycles. So if you look at it kind of like a shotgun where you have to cock it and it's going to have a longer recycle time than a semi-automatic pistol where you actually pull the trigger, you pull the trigger again, and boom, boom. So, but you need to go through some of the stuff to get to the stuff you need. It's kind of the way of making you waste your skill points or thinking more critically about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the standard that I usually use for my mechs. Since I have SRMs, I have ballistic, energy, and missile weapons. The missile spread, it actually decreases the spread. On most missiles, it comes out kind of like a shotgun pellets, whereas the missile spread, it actually tightens the pattern very much like a choke on a shotgun. And the cooldown, heat generation, it reduces the amount of heat generated by the weapons. Everything in this game, with the exception of actually everything generates heat. Moving your mech, walking up and down, climbing a hill, environment, all generates heat on the external. Every weapon you fire generates heat. The only thing that does not generate heat are the consumables. Artillery strikes, airstrikes, UAVs do not generate heat. And conversely, there's also the cool shots, which are actually ways to decrease your heat rapidly using a single shot device. So we're going to go with the high explosives. Now, if you notice, the crit chance just went up to 7.5%. And we have the missile rack, which just added missiles. Narcs are homing beacons for long range or guided missiles. And you fire them at the mech, it sticks, and it's kind of like a here, hit me with missiles. It also takes away from ECM and actually allows all the other mechs to see an enemy unit that would normally be hidden by terrain or under electronic countermeasures, which is kind of like radar jamming equipment, so you can't find them. So we've just gotten pretty much the basics. Laser duration is the next one. Since I have 4 medium lasers, 2 in each arm, we're going to select the laser duration. What this does is it actually compacts the amount of damage you do into a shorter period of time. So you don't have to keep your weapon trained on it, since it stays for a lesson. It's not like a blaster where it's just a little burst and goes bang, bang, bang. It's actually a direct beam that has to be concentrated on a particular area or a mech to do full damage. You can either drag it or you can hold it on a specific point to do more and more damage. So we've got that. So let us continue down, and we'll go to here. And let's go back up. So we need to come back up here. Now, if you notice, you can't click here. It has to be connected. And you cannot go back up in the range. It has to come down. Very much like, well, trickle-down economics. So what we'll do is we will come down. We've got our laser range. It actually, again, increased the range of your weapons reach. Range 13, missile rack. So now we have just increased our missiles now by 2. So now, since I have 2 SRM-6 racks, I now have 20 extra missiles per ton. LRMs have 180 rounds per ton. SRMs and streaks have 100 rounds per ton. So now I have, instead of 100, 120 rounds per ton. Or uh, 36 rounds, so that'd be 218, I believe. For, let's see, 180, 36, yeah, so it's uh, 216 rounds per ton for LRMs. So now we have to go back up here a little bit, and I'm just gonna come straight down, since the cooldowns and the ranges are gonna be usable for us, or for this particular mech. We'll go down and let's see, where do I want to go? Yes, magazine capacity. So now, if you notice, my AC-20 now has 1 extra ton of ammo. And the other one is way over there, so we're going to have to, we'll go range, range, cooldown, range, 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 cooldown, heat, cooldown, and capacity. So now I have 2 extra rounds for my AC-20 per ton of ammunition. Then we're going to come down and we're going to unlock laser. Let's see, and then let's take a look and see what we have. We've used 38 of the 91 skill points. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3 of the lasers undone or unlocked. So what we will do is, now velocity is something I really don't play with. This is the speed of your weapons. So everything travels at a specific speed. AC-20s are this, and LBX-20s, which is basically a huge monster shotgun. They travel the slowest. Lasers travel fast. The particle projection cannons, or PPC, which shoots plasma and electromagnetic energy towards a mech, they travel faster. And missiles actually increase the speed now, as well as regular ballistics. I really don't use the velocity. I really don't see much use to it, since I've been playing this game for so bloody long. I'm pretty much used to the way the ballistics are traveling now. And instead of having the speed of getting there, I'd rather have the range. So we'll go there, and then we will unlock the cooldown 15, which gives us, again, a 9.75% cooldown rate on an overall 100% rating of how fast your weapons can recycle. So then we're going to go to missile spread. So now our missiles are even a tighter pattern, and we're going to go to energy duration. Now we have 43 slots left. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to mobility. This right here is the big ones. These are speed tweaks. This right here increases the top end speed of what your mech is capable of. Normally that was a single skill that would unlock 7.5% a boost to your top end speed, but now it's done in 5 skill. It's done in 5 steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to do what I usually do, which is we're going to go down the left side again. Kinetic burst is basically acceleration. It just tells you how fast your mech can accelerate off the stop. And hard brake is the ability to stop sooner. There's also another aspect which is called anchor turn, which means you can turn a tighter radius or a tighter circle. So instead of making this big old wide loop, you can actually literally turn around on a dime. Some mechs are incapable of turning on a dime even with the greatest amount of anchor turn, like direwolves, atlases. The bigger the slower the mech is, the harder it is to turn, or to get it started or getting stopped. That's what all this is about. So we're going to go to torso yaw, which allows you to twist your torso left and right. It increases the amount by 2%, both to the left and the right. So you have an overall of 4% really. We're going to go to hard brake. We'll open that up. Kinetic burst. Now, there's torso pitch. If you're noticing, this allows you to tilt your torso up and down. So you can actually stand up higher and shoot down closer to your feet, or look upwards and shoot items, or shoot at mechs, or things like UAVs, which are a way of spotting enemy mechs. It's like an artificial drone that pops up. You can actually shoot them down. I'm more concerned with things that are right in front of me with this bad boy. So we're going to go to hard brake, torso yaw, torso speed. And let's see. We have one hard brake in there. So you know what? I'm going to splurge, and I'm going to go to both anchor and torso. Torso pitch, then speed tweak 1, torso, speed tweak 3, and speed tweak 5. Now if you notice, we have all these, and I'm going to, just for grins and giggles, go with the kinetic burst for one more. Now, if you notice the red square here, jump jets, my mech does not have jump jets. So what we'll do is we'll pass through this, and we will go into mech operations. This one's kind of a neat one. I don't normally pick much out of here, except for the cool run and heat containment and a couple of pieces. Improved gyros. Whenever you get hit with a weapon, unless it's something small like lasers, or well, lasers in general, or small caliber like machine guns, you really don't get rocked. But when you start getting hit with AC2s, 5s, 10s, 20s, missiles, SRMs, there's enough kinetic energy to shake your cockpit. And what the improved gyros does is it reduces the amount of shake, so you're better able to keep a concentrated fire, or to concentrate and shoot at another mech, or the mech you're targeting, or hopefully the one that's targeting you. Speed retention. This is for if you're in the event that you lose your leg, you're limping around. You cannot, if you get both legs blown out, you're dead. You need to have at least one leg functioning. Speed retention means that you can cap up to 10% of your total speed. But it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter how fast your mech is, you're capped at 50 kilometers per hour. Or half your speed if you happen to be under 50 kph. I personally am going to go with the improved gyros. Quick ignition is when you power up and power down, both manually by hitting the P key, which is power up and power down, or if you overheat, since again, remember, every mech, everything you do in the mech generates heat. When you generate too much heat, your machine automatically shuts down. If you overheat too much or too many times, you basically blow your engine up, because you are riding on a machine that uses a fusion engine to generate the power needed to operate. So what we'll do is we'll use improved gyros and heat containment. This is good. This increases the maximum amount of heat your mech is able to tolerate before it shuts down. So we'll go there. And let's see, where did I want? Speed retention? Not really. We will go to heat containment. Let's go to the gyros again. Now we're going to move out of this one for a little while, because what I want to do is, these are sensor systems. This is for missiles, for targeting mechs, for being able to spot mechs, or be able to keep them locked and in range wherever they are. There's also ways of keeping them from seeing you. But before we go there, we're going to go into the miscellaneous. This is where you have your coolant reserves. This is what you would use for cool shots. These are consumables that you would use for, you would flush the coolant. Basically, it's like a turbocharge of your heat sinks that are built into your machine. Or it's kind of like adding liquid nitrogen to your air conditioning system. It would just super burst of cold to keep your machine cool and keep it from overheating. Overheating in the middle of your enemy or in front of your enemies, bad thing. They can shoot you, you can't shoot back. So what we'll do is we're going to open up now these right here. In order to use the cool shots, UAVs, and all the other things, we need to get consumable slots. So we're going to open that up. Now what we're going to do is we're going to UAV duration. This is a basically a drone that gets popped up out of the air and sits up for a specific amount of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to open that up. It adds 10% of time, or 10 seconds to the time the UAV is up, before it either runs out of power or gets shot. But it will come down immediately if it's shot down. This right here increases the signal and the strength of the drone, and we're going to get an extra UAV. And in order to use it, we need to go to the consumable. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use additional salvos. What this does is, this is for artillery and airstrikes. This adds the number of shells and increasing the damage per artillery or airstrike used by 25%. So we will open that up. And we will go into the enhanced salvo, which again opens it up a second time. So now we've just literally added a half or 50% more power to our consumables. Expanded reserves. This gives us one more airstrike or artillery strike to carry in, and a consumable slot. So now we added an extra consumable slot. Enhanced cool shot again. This is the coolant. Capture assist. This basically, as you're standing on a base, that's how you capture an item. A beacon, a base, anything that can be captured, it's done by how long in proximity of where you are to it. You have to be standing usually in a designated area or within a few meters of it to capture it. Capture assist will decrease the amount of time necessary needed to capture a specific point, either a resource point, a base, or a radar or ECM beacon, depending on the game mode that you're playing. Now, I can go all the way down here and waste, I get a fourth consumable slot, but I think we're good. Now, remember the narc? Here you have a way of increasing the duration of the narc. It also increases the velocity, the speed at which the narc travels. Narcs are the slowest of the missiles, and it basically does no damage. Might scratch the paint when it hits, but that's about it. But the fun comes after a mech's been narked. Now this right here is sensor systems. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit to this. There are some really neat things near the bottom. Enhanced ECM. Now I cannot use this because my mech is not equipped with electronic countermeasures, so I cannot use it. But what I can use is radar deprivation, which decreases the ability for a mech to see me. And when you have it, it shortens the amount of time that your mech is still on enemy radar when you leave the line of sight. In other words, when you're no longer in sight, they instantly drop you. So if somebody has a lock on you with missiles, you drop sight unless you're narked or unless there's a UAV in the air. So out of sight, out of mind. Seismic is basically just what it means. Any mech stomping around, any enemy mech stomping around near you will show up as a pulsing red dot within a certain radius. The more of a sensor range you have on your seismic, the wider it is. So if you're but you have to use it, you have to be standing still for the seismic to work. Now, I'm going to take a few out of here. I believe, let's see. I'm going to increase my sensor range. And where do we want to go? This is the fun one. So we're going to come down this way. And we're going to take as much radar deprivation as possible because I like this whole concept of out of sight, out of mind. So now we have used 85 of our 91 skill points. We haven't even touched anything here with armor. This is survivability. Reinforced casing. This basically reduces the amount of chances of receiving a critical hit. Remember that whole part about the missiles? Having a crit, well, this reduces. This is kind of defense against missiles hitting or doing a critical. Same thing with the LBX machine guns. They're very much crit seekers. Shock absorbance, which increases the amount of distance you can fall before taking damage. AMS overload. AMS stands for anti-missile systems. Basically, they're radar-guided machine guns that shoot missiles out of the air. Not all of them. We do have a system coming up called LAMS, which is laser anti-missile systems, which do not run out of ammunition, but do generate heat. AMS is probably the only thing in the game as far as a ballistic that does not generate any heat whatsoever, because it is an automatic system. But the problem is, though, that it does run out of ammo pretty darn quick. I've had mechs carrying 6,000 rounds of AMS ammo with 3 AMS units, and within 3 minutes, coming up against extremely heavily missile heavy mechs, I've run out of AMS, and my mech was pretty much useless because it was set up for that. So anyway, so we really won't touch that. I personally find that survivability is overrated. So what do we have here to it? Do we have anything else left to play with? I think what I'll do is I will go to cooldown, heat generation, heat generation, heat generation. I'm all about the firepower and the ability to inflict maximum damage. Now we have 2 skill points left, so we're not going to use them right away. So let's take a look at what we have. My AC-20, I have +2 on the tonnage. That's all the weapons that we don't really need. The missile critic, I have a 50% chance of doing critical damage with a 5% reduction of spread, an 11.25% cooldown rate, a 5.25% heat, or added to my heat cooldown to my heat generation, 13% to range, a 10.5 degree or 10.5% ability to turn left and right, or my speed, 6% to the yaw. I have 4.5% top speed on my mech. Max heat has been added by 6%. Screen shake has been reduced by 35. Sensor rate added 21%. 28% on target gathering. 60% radar deprivation. Seismic, I have 100%, and I have 3 extra slots for consumables. 1 UAV with 20% range and a 10% duration. And 10.5% acceleration and deceleration, 15% reduction in laser duration, and again, for 50% increase on strategic strike duration and number of shells. So I'm thinking that looks pretty darn good, so we're going to apply the changes. Good. So now from here, we're going to go back to loadout, and we can go up to consumables. Now, of the 5 slots I have for consumables, 2 of them are open. Again, these are the cool shots. And there it is. Adds 18 heat per second reduction, and it's consumed on use. Same thing with everything here. So you have two different types of UAVs, two different types of consumables. You have the ones you pay 40,000 C-bills. You earn that when you're playing games, so technically it's free money, or you have one that's for 15 MC. That's gold. The reason it's gold is because that's real money. You gotta buy them with a credit card or with MC. So we will put the two advanced UAV slots here. Now, again, the auto refill, if you click it, that means every time your mech is done and you're bringing it back into battle, all these are set up. If you do not click it, you do not have them. Bad thing, bad idea. Unless you're tinkering around with them. So we have artillery strikes and advanced. I personally like advanced artillery strikes. It concentrates the area. You drop it behind somebody, they're not realizing it, and actually concentrates more damage in any particular area. So we're going to lock those. Now, each time you use them, it's 40,000 C-bills for a total of 160,000 if I use all four consumables. So we're going to save this. Let us go to weapons. Everything looks good. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick match. And I think we're going to go play. Let's see. You know what? I'm just gonna let it randomly happen. I'm good wherever I go. Looks like Forest Colony Skirmish. Now, the one thing about this mech is it is a short-range brawler. The one thing I do like on my mechs is advanced zoom, which I believe we got. If we didn't, we're going to go back and we're going to go put it back on. Slow load in today. And there I am with a 112 ping, which is still pretty reasonable.
Reactor online. Sensors online. Weapons online. All systems nominal.
This is command. Eliminate all enemies, no matter the cost.
Ah, we got a Cyclops. Excellent.
About it.
Howdy ho, gentlemen.
Let's go for a pie.
Okay, so now if you notice, instead of having 28 rounds for my AC-20, I've got 36. And instead of having 200 rounds for my SRMs, I've got 240. So, that's good. Yep, energy weapons are much shorter duration. And I forgot the advanced zoom. So we're going to have to go back in and do that after this match. Which means we're probably going to have to pull a few items off because I need a few slots to do that. So.
For a second, I thought this was domination that won this skirmish. I feel retarded.
I was wondering what your circle combat meant.
It meant I'm retarded, apparently.
Yeah, it happens to us all.
We're all a little retarded.
Alright, so where do you guys want to meet up at? Well, we already met up, but where do you guys want to head to?
Target acquired.
Target spotted.
How about let's head over to the linebacker and go say hi?
I concur. Hotel 8 it is.
Let's go make a friend.
I don't know. I want to play peekaboo. I shoot you myself.
Target spotted.
Do we have any missiles on board?
A couple people coming to G8.
I'm all energy.
New target acquired.
I'm all here, ready to go.
I'm gonna go post up in Hotel 7 and look towards the water and make sure.
Target acquired.
Up, Misery, Charlie.
I'll bring you through there too.
UAV up.
Made collectively close range for all
UAV
their-
activated. New target acquired. New target acquired. Heat level critical. Heat level critical.
Sort of pushing Golf 9 into Hotel 9. I support this push. Oh, I suggest you push into Golf 8.
New target
Otherwise you're gonna be
acquired.
separated. The rest of the team seems to be going away from you guys. Push deeper into Golf 8, follow with him, and get to that little
Target destroyed. New target acquired.
It's UAV up.
Artillery strike activated. New target acquired. Center personnel critical damage. Artillery strike. Left torso.
I'm down.
Griffin, you fucked up.
Well, it's respectable damage. It's definitely respectable damage for a little bit of time I
We're
spent in match.
experiencing some losses. Don't get sloppy out there. 25% of the enemies are eliminated.
Congratulations.
Center torso critical damage.
So, well, the specs and the optics on this mech are really good, and as you can see, it puts out a brutal amount of punishment for the short period of time I was in match. So what we're going to do is correct the one deficit, which is the advanced zoom is missing. So let's go all the way back. And there it is. Apparently we didn't click them all. So now we have advanced zoom. And that is pretty much it. So I'm going to kick this off real quick, and then I'm going to start this up again, and we'll try the next match. Okay? So for all the people who have had problems with the new skill tree or haven't seen it, I hope this is going to be informative. And as I learn a little bit more, I might just spec out a few other mechs that have jump jets or something a little bit different. But this is pretty much a good all-around mech and a good all-around layout for this particular type of chassis. So until then, later guys.